the very first deployment of AI within an enterprise usually is collaboration, right? It's Copilot, it's Gemini, it's even ChatGPT, mostly because what you want the organization to learn is how to prompt or how to answer better questions, which is distinct than prompt engineering, which is actually the build part of it, right? You might have a 5-page prompt in order to do an AI agent versus a 1-paragraph prompt to draft an email. The stats are pretty clear. If you were to just enable that, it's 17% usage. If you were to train on prompting instead of just enabling Copilot, then it's 50% or more. So that little bit of change of engaging the audience at large to learn how to move from keyword search to prompting dramatically changes their use of AI and dramatically changes how much they would nominally save per day. Maybe 30 minutes per day to 90 minutes per day. And that's what we generally see as the first readiness deployment of AI.
To also make sure that we can contain our excitement as technologists. The fact that everything can be POC'd doesn't mean necessarily that this should be applied into the production. And the fact that there are a lot easier POC nowadays comparing to before, you can easily, with a few of the simulator, put a POC and then generate all those excitements only to tell them, but now we need to spend millions of dollars in order to bring this to reality of life. So a portion of it is on us as well to make sure that we manage that excitement and build that with the reality. To your point, generative AI is just a very small portion of it actually nowadays. The agentic AI that nowadays the enterprises are using has a true dollar amount associated with reduction of a lot of overhead and everything else. So I'm hoping that we can actually discuss a little bit more on how to manage the excitement and hype around the AI as well, so we can bring everyone to the actual first floor and be able to build something that can be expanded and scaled.
Yeah, I agree with you, because I think that's the biggest challenge I have is containing the rest of the executive team and the board that keeps talking about AI but has no comprehension of the value that they really want to see from it. They just know there's value out there. They're hearing about it, but then they look to us and say, well, show me the value. What value are you looking for, right? Have you even factored where it's going to add to the company, where you want to be, what's happening in the industry? So
it shouldn't be any different than any other reporting and analytics. What's the problem you're trying to solve?
Yeah.
The thing you're trying to understand, so that should drive your investment. And I look at AI as being, what are our hardest problems to solve? What are the challenges that are people challenges? And that's likely where we're going to go. I work in a place that does not generate revenue. In fact, we're trying to use AI to actually save, right? And we're going to have to, knowing that there isn't going to be continual investment in healthcare. So how do we work smarter, not harder? And how can AI help facilitate the frontline staff, my staff on a data and analytics side, to work faster, better, smarter?
One actual approach I do think will be very important is to define the journey. Asking the 3 key questions to the executive team. And then the first one is, what do we want from AI? I think that really set the goal. And then the second piece is what AI can help us to do. Those are actually the starting point. And then what are else missing from a knowledge perspective? Because education is going to be at the front center. Bridging the non-technical leaders for that gap is going to be the next, I'd say, the battle that we have to take on. Because if we don't do this, then no one else will know, right? Because that's also maybe a bit of a responsibility. And then the next piece is really bridging the data gap for the organization. Is that data culture foundation. The key question is, are we data-driven yet? If we're not, then we're still a little bit further away from the full AI options. So the data quality conversation, data governance still come back.
You have to understand getting everyone on the same bandwagon. And I agree with one point that the hype is there. Everyone is excited about it. Everyone wants to look at Agentic or Gen or try Codium or many tools are out there, but at the same time, that only can happen if you bring everyone on one frequency and one theme, that this is where we want to go, this is where we start, this is what we look at, which is what I feel is missing. But again, it goes back to the understanding of what is AI.
I would say, I think first we started the discussion on AI and tech. I think maybe we should just zoom back out again and say this is not a tech-driven transformation. This is a business-driven transformation. So you got to align the tech as part of the business problem that you're really trying to solve. Could be in analytics, but it's really a business problem that you're trying to solve. Then you will look at all the other characteristics that you will require to enable that business problem to be solved. So whether you need to upskill, reskill, there's ethics, there's governance, there's data quality as part of that as well, and the enablement and all of that. So I would say, I think starts off the buy-in from the board and the business and the senior executives is what is really the problem that we're trying to solve, and then funnel it down and distill that down to the individual contributors, which is that this is the problem, i.e. now you can connect to finding a resolution.
If you think of pizza, we have call center. And one of the biggest things that we see with technology is, can we automate our call center? Can you call in and speak to an automated agent? So that's an opportunity for us. And that's something that we're actively looking at. We've tried this 6 years ago. There wasn't AI at this level, at this maturity compared to then. And we know what we can do. And if you think of AI today, agentic AI, and currently we're actually doing a POC just to prove that it will work. So to both of your point, technology enables the business, but there has to be an opportunity for the business where there's value provided for that business at the same time.
I can give you a real world example of how we're using agents now. Because we're a group of companies, we have a lot of different data silos. And so getting data to flow is always our hardest challenge. And so what we've been using agents in the individual companies to do is to automate the workflow. So to, like, say if you get an invoice, but it needs to end up at a completely different division, that manual process was prone to errors. And now we will actually just push it based on what it scans. It will push it into the correct system, which will then OCR it, store it wherever it needs to be. And then we can kind of generate data off of that. And so we've kind of been pushing that out all around the company. And we are finding like productivity gains are starting to skyrocket. So.
We're also looking at data analytics. We've seen them, like for Pittsburgh, we have a lot of customer data. And how do we try to provide more insight and predictability? And one of the things that we're doing right now is we're a GCP platform. So we're putting everything into BigQuery, putting it on top of Looker, and we're creating ML. And we're also using Looker's LLM plugin to provide complete data democratization to our users. So this way, especially the marketing guys, they're thinking of a report, and the idea is to give them something that they can write in a human form and create a report for them. Because for us, we have different geographical areas. Weather plays a big part. We also connecting with the weather network. We're getting data from them on a constant basis. So we're pairing third-party data with internal data to do correlation, to understand our business, provide insight, and what works, what doesn't work, and where there's opportunity and predictability as well.
In our case, we are a marketing company. We are providing call tracking lines for our clients, where we track, capture calls, record them, and then we score them based on 25 different criteria. So we used to have a team of people who would actually listen to those calls and score them. Instead, what we've done is we've trained an AI model based on those calls that have been scored, and now it's all automatically, all the calls are scored by the AI model, so we no longer rely on humans to do this. Obviously, the accuracy is much better as a result. We can eliminate the errors, plus we can score them within those calls within seconds. Then we can notify clients about potentially lost opportunity if it was somebody was looking for a service and they didn't get it.
we have also built in the call center the AI agent as well. So a call center of 200 people that we used to have now has only 25 people. And the rest of them are helping with building and fine-tuning that large language model. Our outbound calls are 90% all AI agent that they call. And it's about, lapse patient, it's about the forget appointment, it's about the reminder and everything else, you name it. An inbound call as well. There is always a pickup by an AI agent that picks up the call, evaluates everything else, and then route it based on that. Another example of the activities we have in place now is predictive diagnosis with patient's history. I'm in a pet care, veterinarian healthcare, with the 10,000 doctors across the globe that we have and 45,000 caregivers, the data that we have based on the number of the customers that we have comes as years and years of a patient history. And those have been all fed to the large language model. And we are now able to actually predict the possibility of something that might come and happen to, a patient in the 6 months, in the year, or something like that. This is actually a breakthrough that AI is helping us with getting the diagnosis faster.
You can't throw the ones and zeros over the fence to me as a data person anymore. You're at the table with me. You're building. I don't know especially in healthcare, my team is not clinical. I don't know what I don't know to feed into developing out those models. So we are now best friends. And I need my technology friends to be there as well. So like your team grows, and it's not necessarily that formalized team, but it is the group of people to bring this to life is now exponentially bigger than what it was when you were doing simple forecasting or predictions or those sorts of things. You have to have everybody at the table, because inevitably, if you don't, you will miss something, and then you're constantly playing catch up to try and figure out, why didn't this work? Why didn't this work? Or it should work. It should work.
So at our organization, it's primarily our teachers that are driving the development of agents. So IT is enabling the tools for them, but I don't know from a pedagogy perspective what the right reading tools are available for students. So that's what we're testing in our space, which is early readers or early screening readers, and how does AI, when they're applying it to students, is it providing the correct outcomes and the right guidelines for the teacher as they're driving the reading material. So IT in our case is primarily ensuring that the tools are available to them, and that we can make sure that technology is available not only to our staff, but our 74,000 students. And so most of our use cases right now are focused on our teaching side. Now it's like, okay, there's this tool. So they're developing agents to support all the teaching staff, because we have 10,000. And how do they use that tool more effectively? But IT couldn't do it and I wouldn't want to do it. I just want to make sure that the tools are available to them, because we could certainly take them down a path that probably wouldn't provide the best results for students, especially in education sector. We'll sell the shiny toy and they will love it, but they don't know how they've built the AI components. And so we're very cautious on our end, especially we have a lot of legislation that we have to be mindful of, because we don't know the type of information it's going to maybe recommend for student learning. And if the vendor doesn't know what they've built, we try to stay away. So that's where I do jump in.
First of all, we're a Google shop, a Google Workspace shop. So we rolled out Gemini worldwide. So we did a 150-person POC in the fall.
cross-section of everyone. We recorded those sessions to become training, put them on a learning management system, and then rolled out. We accidentally sent the first 1,000 to the Gen Zs with an accident, right? And the adoption rate was sky high, and the training was there. The 150 people became Gemini guides, and they were overly trained and continuously trained, so they were available to help. And this was part of our efficiency and effectiveness objective. So again, you have to have an objective, as you mentioned, Ross, and you have to have funding. So as we continue to roll that out, we rolled all the other features of Workspace, like Notebook LM. It goes on and on and on. We had shared Google Docs for insights that people found, and at the very top of each doc, it was how to prompt that doc for what you're looking for. So again, people were learning to prompt as they were looking for information, and the guides helped a lot. We rolled out deep research to our product development team and our engineering team, because they're always researching what's next, what should be, what are the competitors doing. Total game changer for them. We started before all this, we put all the governance together. I also run GRC. So we put all the AI governance and all the guardrails, including if you use pre-chat GPT, you're going to be in trouble. But with Zero Trust, we just throw the banner up. This doesn't follow governance. If you use this, use it for your personal information only, because again, we know they're going to use it at home if we don't tell them that. So we don't want to block anything, but we want to warn them. So that's been working out very well. And we then began rolling out into engineering, industrial design, accounting. Invoice to pay was probably one of the most fastest return on investment with AI. Because when you think about the standard invoices you pay on a regular basis, once the engine was trained, those people running invoice to pay, their efficiency increased. And then within our technology team, we're looking at Anthropic and Google Code agents to help us with coding. We're doing a small POC on that because we want to put this kind of AI against our core systems, which is part of our technical debt. So how do we sort of get a few more miles out of our technical debt while we try to do this, right? And I would just stress the whole idea of having compliance and risk front and foremost, and make sure everyone learns it.
So your maturity too, is that what you just?
I'm not sure if we're mature, but we just keep on pushing. But I think that the guides are helping.
Going with AI native to do it in everything you do. It wasn't just one area of use cases. So in our organization, we commercial real estate. So everything's all about that. So we just said, how do we approach it from that perspective? Otherwise, it will be very tough to do use cases and say how much is the return of investment here, and we basically start doing just like you. We experimenting here and there. Right now, today, we have practically everything we do, believe it or not, one way or another, from RFP response to payrolls to accounting, everything we use AI, and we use it, not to say perfectly the way is intended, because they are getting more advanced as we speak. But we are now put the mindset in the organization that these tools are just tools and just use it and get as much productivity you want to get.
So I think of it as, one, you have AI literacy in your executive team. So everyone on the team has a really good understanding and knowledge of what AI is. I think two, the whole technical piece around data governance is important. And three, like in our organization, and I credit the IT media team, we started a partnership with the University of Toronto about 7 years ago, and we've maintained that partnership. And our goal at the time was just to bring them in and to have the organization learn about what AI is and play with it, and no expectations. And it worked out really well. But for that first 3-4 years, it was AI looking for a problem to solve, right? And now I think a maturity element of an organization is when you have business problems and you're in the natural mindset of everyone is, in this business problem, can I apply AI to it? It's a subtle difference, but I found that most organizations, including ours for a while, were AI looking for a problem to solve. So I think a maturity level is if it's just part of your fabric that you're trying to apply it. So in our organization, that's what we're doing. We have lots of use cases and things we've deployed, and I think it's matured in our capability. It's matured in the not just in the executive team now, but the next layer down, that AI is just understood by everybody. So
there's value in describing it formally. So very rarely is maturity described as number of use cases you've implemented it. It's usually either a description of AI readiness versus AI maturity. So readiness is saying, this is how much money I'm willing to spend on AI in the business right now. Right? There's $1 million. And of that $1 million, is it going to go to education collaboration? Is it going to go to build things? Or is it going to go to using the embedded functions of things I already own? Right? That's the readiness part, is do I have the money and the policy and the where I'm going to deal the cards? Maturity is much more classic, right? Is 0 through 5, 10 dimensions of things like, do I have the tools? Do I have the governance? Do I have the quality? Do I have the stewardship? All those dimensions. And what are the capabilities I need to have in order to move from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3? And there isn't a goal to be 5. In fact, there's not a goal to be 5 in any of them, really. The goal is to say where I am now, where do I want to be, and what's the roadmap gap between them? Sort of the classic definition. So distinction between readiness and maturity, but having a formal appreciation for maturity will be helpful, because then you'll know what gaps in capability.
But I would like to throw the demographic in the mix, because in my case, as working in a banking industry, the population demographic is very different than when I was working in a software house. They might not be even excited about AI. And a funny survey to share is that I just did a annual customer survey, and I threw a question about what do you want to learn about technology tool that we provide. And the most of the feedback is, teach me how to use MS Teams, teach me how to use SharePoint online. Mm-hmm. And obviously followed by Copilot, which is probably a younger generation in my bank. So understanding who you're talking to and where are their digital skill set is, it's really the first step in my mind. And second thing, I also want to touch upon the executive layer. Last year, data shows only single-digit % of our C-suite use AI in their productivity. Single digit. Mm-hmm. And to me, as a technologist and somebody who lead the technology, like we should be talking to more to our peer and encourage them to adopt this, AI, which is already here. It's not a choice of not to use it.